Presentation of D4K on Idaho Public Television is made possible through the generous support of the Laura Moore Cunningham Foundation, committed to fulfilling the Moore family legacy of building the great state of Idaho.
Bears play a key role in their ecosystem, so bears are important. Do you have a question about bears? We're standing by with answers. Stay tuned. D4K is next. Hi, I'm Joan Cartan Hansen. Welcome to D4K, the place for science. Before we go to your questions, let's learn a little bit more about bears. Bears are omnivores. That means they eat both plants and animals. Since they don't eat during hibernation, black bears are very thin and hungry when they come out of their dens in the spring. They immediately begin feeding on grass, wild onions, and other green plants. Bears must eat constantly during the spring, summer, and fall in order to survive during the winter hibernation. They have special adaptations that allow them to uncover a variety of foods. Bears use their strong claws to rip at the bark of trees. Underneath, they find insects to eat. Of course, bears love honey, but they also like to feed on the bees that produce the honey. Another adaptation is their ability to pluck berries or flowers from a bush with their prehensile or flexible lips. A bear's lips can bend and grasp much like our fingers. In Idaho, berries make up a critical part of a bear's diet in late summer and fall. Black bears can also eat meat, especially carrion, decaying dead animals, when they can find them. How do we know all this about bears? Research.
Ew! That stinks!
Stink is good. That's what brings the bears in.
Bears?
That's right. You guys are going to help us set a trap for one.
Why would we want to catch a bear?
Let me guess. Research.
Yup, and it's time to get to work. Grab a pair of gloves and let's get a start on the snare.
This research project is trapping bears to fit them with radio collars. Then scientists can track where they're crossing a new highway built in Idaho's Panhandle.
As more people move into the area, they create more traffic.
Hey, I'm walking here.
Which means more injuries to both bears and humans. So we're trying to find a better way for the bear to cross the road. But first, we need to know where and how often they cross.
So what's the plan? Are you going to ask it when you catch one?
And how are you going to catch it anyway? Well, what did you guys think of that smell?
Unbearable.
Well, that's what brings in the bears. They can smell this stuff from a mile away, and they love to eat this stinking stuff. And they'll come down our path to get to the goods. They'll step on our snare, and boom, we've got them.
And then you're going to ask it where it crosses the road.
No, we're going to use a GPS, or Global Positioning System.
Whoa, look at that! Wow, there's a bear in our trap.
Looks like an adult black bear.
Whoa! What do we do now?
This is a jab stick that has a syringe on the end with a drug in it. It'll put the bear to sleep before we work on it.
That's good.
What's that for? This is a tooth extractor.
What would you want a tooth for?
So we can get an estimate of the bear's age. Did you know that inside the bear's tooth are rings, just like a tree? I'm glad it's asleep.
Once the bear's out, the biologist will attach this GPS collar. That way scientists can follow the bear's movements.
The highway department has built some special trails under the highway so that bears and other wildlife can more easily cross the road. So bears wearing the GPS collar are tracked by satellites in the sky, and we can learn how often they're using these special trails.
Will this help keep bears and people safer?
We hope so. That's why we're doing this research project. More and more people are moving into this area, and as more people move into wildlife's habitat, it becomes more difficult for us to manage for both. Now I've got to get this collar on this black bear.
Hey girls, it's time for you two to get out of here. Why? Is the bear gonna wake up soon? He sure is.
Oh no, here we go again.
Joining me now to answer your questions about bears are Greg Lazinski, a regional conservation educator with the Idaho Department of Fish and Game, and Evan O'Neill, also a regional conservation educator with the Idaho Department of Fish and Game. Gentlemen, thank you both for being here. I appreciate it.
Glad to be here.
Okay, let's go to your questions.
Hi, my name is Abby. I go to Kamiah Elementary School in Kamiah, Idaho, and my question is, why do bears hibernate in the winter?
Well, Abby, bears hibernate because they have to. The food sources that are normally available in the winter generally aren't there, so rather than use the energy that they have remaining to try to find something, they basically shut down. And bears are not what we would call a true or deep hibernator. They do drop down their body temperature a little bit, they do drop down their metabolism, but they can start up if they need to, and that's very different than other animals like ground squirrels that go way, way down as far as their metabolism. So again, it's a matter of energy conservation, which then relates to survival. In places where there's plenty of food sources that are available, they will stay out longer. But again, once it gets to that point that only they know, they will basically shut down and go on standby until spring.
Reed would like to know, how tall can a grizzly bear get?
Well, Reed, a really, really big grizzly bear might be about 5 feet tall at the shoulder when it's on all fours. Now, when it stands up, it might be around 9 feet tall. But when it's just walking around on all four legs, which bears spend most of their time doing, it might be 5 feet at the shoulder. A really big bear might be 6 feet at the shoulder, but that would be like a really, really big grizzly bear.
Hi, my name is Rainey, and I go to Basin Elementary School. And my question is, how fast can bears walk?
Well, it depends on what they're walking to or from, I guess would be a way to look at it. They can have just a normal pace like a human of a few miles an hour, or they can step up that pace and move much quicker to the point that even in a short burst they can hit 35 miles an hour. It just depends on, again, what they're trying to do. If they're just looking around for food, they're going to be moving a lot slower. But if they're trying to get somewhere or to get at something, it can be very fast.
Now, you have some really interesting tracking software that followed a bear, just one single bear around during the day. Tell me about that.
Well, this information was provided from a GPS collar that was placed on the bears. And these bears were not problem bears. These were study bears that we actually trapped in the Island Park area of Idaho. And they were trapped at the end of June, beginning of July. And they actually sent out a signal every hour and a half that had a GPS coordinate attached to it. So we could actually track them on the internet on a map to see where they were going every hour and a half. And the incredible thing is you can watch as the summer progresses, the bears moving around different parts of Island Park looking at different food sources, whether it's huckleberries or kokanee or you name it. And at certain times they decide they want to go somewhere entirely different, like way back into Yellowstone. In just a matter of a day or so, they can go from Island Park into the Hayden Valley of Yellowstone, eat some, maybe a buffalo carcass there or something that I don't know if they heard about it or whatever, and then they'll move back to Idaho again. And again, it's incredible the distances that these bears will cover that we could see using these collars, and at the same time, no one ever reported seeing these bears. These bears were not trouble bears. They were out there finding the foods that they needed and moving across the landscape. And one thing that we can also see with other data on other bears is that these bears are overlapping all the time. A lot of times people think that animals have a territory that is they're the only animal in that area. And for bears, it really doesn't work that way. As long as there's food, they will share that territory and move around quite a bit, and that's what this data is showing us. But it's just neat to see how much ground they can cover when they know that there's something good to eat at the other end.
Jasmine would like to know, what's the most common bear in Idaho?
Well, Jasmine, easily the black bear is our most common bear. It's, of course, a native, just like the brown bear or grizzly bear was, but it didn't have the same maybe negative connotations with early settlers, so there wasn't a concerted effort to get rid of it. We once upon a time had many, many grizzly bears in Idaho, but again, there was an effort made to remove them, whereas black bears were, for the most part, tolerated. They were hunted, but still, today we probably have 20,000 black bears in Idaho.
Hi, my name is Vinny. I go to Basin Elementary School in Idaho City, and my question is, how long do bears live?
That's a great question. Black bears in the wild generally live around 25 years. a little longer if they live in a zoo environment. Grizzly bears, a little less. They'll live around 20 years in the wild if they get to that ripe old age. And again, if they're in a zoo environment, they can live a little longer than that.
Hi, my name is Raquel, and I go to Kamiah Elementary School in Kamiah, Idaho. My question is, do bears shed their fur?
Well, like all animals, when winter's coming, bears will put on weight, but their fur actually doesn't really bulk up as much as like other animals that spend the winter out. So when you see a bear in the spring, he's going to have a pretty shaggy coat, but not like a big winter coat. One thing that bears can do, it's kind of funny, is they will slough the pads off their paws in the same way that we can lose skin. Well, when they hibernate, a lot of times people will see, especially black bears that are fairly common, they'll see them licking their paws and thinking that that's actually how they, in the old days, thought that's how the bear survived hibernating, was by eating its paw pads. And really what's happening is just that old dead skin falling off. So they do actually slough their paw pads somewhat in the spring.
Isaac would like to know, why are female bears called sows?
Well, bears are actually related to pigs. And so male bears are called boars, just like male pigs are called boars, and female bears are called sows, just like female pigs are called sows. So that's the short and easy answer.
Rebecca would like to know, why do bears leave people alone when people are hiking in the woods?
Rebecca, bears are, even though they're powerful animals, they understand that humans can be trouble. And so when they know a person is around, they will try to get away from that area. The problem we have with bears and people is when people surprise bears, or bears aren't aware that the people are in the area, and then all of a sudden it's a close encounter. But generally bears don't want trouble, and they know people could mean trouble, so they give us plenty of room when they can. That's why it's important when you're out in the woods to make plenty of noise so that the bears know you're there, and they will generally move on. It's very rare that the bears, either black bears or grizzly bears, become predatory. It can happen occasionally, but for the most part, they want to stay away from us.
Sue asks, what happens when Fish and Game has to catch a bear?
Again, it depends on the situation. If maybe it's a young bear that's wandered into town because it's looking for something to eat, doesn't really know what's going on, and doesn't realize that maybe this isn't the best place for it to be, we will trap that animal and relocate it to a different location. If it's a bear that's been in trouble in the past and it's on maybe its third strike, then unfortunately there are times when we have to take that animal and actually put it down because it becomes too much of a risk for human safety to have a bear that continually comes in and is in close proximity with people. That's a situation that we as an agency, we just can't tolerate because of the threat to people.
Hi, my name is Millie, and I go to Basin Elementary School in Idaho City. My question is, how much do bears eat each day?
That's a great question, and really it depends on what's available, because a bear is, for the most part, just consumed with consuming. And generally, if there's something that's edible, he or she is going to eat it, and as much of it as she can, and keep eating it until it's gone. Bears aren't picky. They eat lots of different things, so if they have just a little bit, they'll eat that, but if they have the chance to eat a whole carcass of an animal, they'll do so. So again, the answer is whatever's available, they'll just keep eating, and you may actually find a bear taking a nap like we do on Thanksgiving when we eat too much, but yet there's more left to eat, and so that can also sometimes be a problem, because you're walking through the woods and you actually could surprise a bear that's taking a nap in between its meals.
Junior would like to know, why are some bears more aggressive than others?
Well, Junior, the reason is that black bears and grizzly bears they came about in different locations. Grizzly bears are more of an open plains type animal. They're not really a forest dwelling animal, although they do live in the forest, but they have kind of a different attitude about life. Their best defense is generally a good offense. So they tend to be more aggressive toward humans and other animals for that matter than black bears. Black bears, they kind of spend most of their time in the forest, and the forest is a great place to retreat to. So black bears tend to be a little less aggressive than grizzly bears, and their best offense, or their best defense is a good defense. If they feel threatened, they'll run in the woods, climb a tree. Grizzly bears don't have that option per se. They aren't real great climbers, and so they tend to be more aggressive than their black bear counterparts because of the areas where they kind of grew up. If you think about grizzly bears, they're found in Yellowstone now, but Yellowstone's not great grizzly bear habitat. Grizzly bears would rather be out in areas that we spend our time in, but we're not very tolerant of having grizzly bears there. But in the old days, that's where grizzly bears lived, out in the open country. And if they got threatened, they would oftentimes charge. And they still have those inherent behaviors still in their brain, so they will still do that from time to time.
Did you know that bears have a super sense of smell? They can pick up scents much better than humans can. Bears can also see and hear really well and outrun most people.
Hi, my name is Libby, and I go to Kamiah Elementary in Kamiah, Idaho. My question is, how do bears climb trees?
Well, Lily, that's a good question, and it depends on the species. Here in Idaho, we have the black bear, and then we also have the grizzly bear. And when you look at their claws, they're actually very, very different. When you look at a black bear, they developed in an area where the trees were important for getting away from maybe other predators or to seek food. So their claws are actually very short and very sharp and well adapted to climbing. When you look at a grizzly bear's claws, they're actually very long. They almost look like tines on a rake, and they were developed more for digging rather than climbing. They can climb, but it turns more into a function of the size of the bear and the size of the tree. So whereas black bears are pretty universally good climbers, grizzly bears do have their limits, but they do climb more than people realize.
My name is Raceland. I go to Riverside Elementary School. My question is, how is a bear's nutrition different from a human's nutrition?
Well, to be honest, it's really not. Bears eat a lot of the same things that you and I eat, and you and I eat a lot of different things. Bears eat a lot of different things. They like berries, they like meat, they eat their vegetables just like we're supposed to do. So really, we have a lot in common with them when it comes to the types of foods that we consume.
Hi, my name is Levi. I go to Basin Elementary School in Idaho City. My question is, how big is a polar bear?
Well, that's a great question, and the polar bear, because of where it lives, needs to be large. It needs to have the body mass to keep it going, and so it can weigh upwards of 1,500 pounds, which many people consider the polar bear to be the largest land carnivore mammal out there.
Abby would like to know, why do bears come in different colors?
Well, Abby, bears come in different colors for the same reasons that we have different hair color or different eye color. It's all related to genetics. And out here in the West, black bears, for instance, come in a variety of different colors. They just have a different gene system in their bodies that allows them to come in different colors. But if you go back east, almost all the black bears back east on the East Coast, they're almost all black. Every now and then you'll have a variety, a different color variety on a bear back east, but for the most part, they are almost always black. But out here, we got a wide range of colors, and it's all related to genetics, just like it is for us as humans. Brown hair, blonde hair, blue eyes, green eyes. It all depends on the combination of chromosomes that come together to make the bear.
Hi, my name is Samuel, and I go to Kamiah Elementary School. I live in Idaho, and my question is, what do bears eat?
In areas like around Idaho, bears will eat just about anything. They'll eat carrion, that is dead animals, in the springtime when they first come out of the den, and then they'll start eating grasses. When the green up starts, the snow starts melting, and the sun comes out, and the grass starts growing, bears will key in on those areas where that new green grass is growing and start feeding on that. I've seen bears walking through a meadow clipping off the dandelion heads as they walk, eating dandelions. It's not very often you think about a grizzly bear eating dandelion flowers, but they do that. And then in the spring, or later in the spring and the summer, they'll eat anything that they can find that's edible. And then going into the fall, they kind of retool again. They start eating buffalo berries and huckleberries and different things that will give them lots of energy that they can put on as fat to get them through the wintertime. So we classify bears as generalists. That is, that they eat a lot of different things. They've got one of the most varied diet of any animal out there. And it's because they have such high energy needs, they have to be able to eat just about anything because you just never know when your next meal is going to come along if you're a bear.
And I understand you're doing work in Slovakia about what bears eat when it comes to eating in trash cans.
Right. A lot of folks don't realize that over in Europe they have the same bear that we have, Ursus arctos. We call the grizzly bear, but it's the brown bear there. And their bears are fairly close to people and getting into lots of trouble with dumpsters. And so we've been working with the folks in Slovakia to try to figure out a way to take the dumpsters that they have and make them so bears can't get into them. And as part of that project, we've actually had them ship a dumpster over from Slovakia to America, and we've taken it up to the Grizzly Wolf Discovery Center in West Yellowstone, and those folks have actually tested it on the bears there, and it failed, which we knew it would. So now we actually have that container up in Canada. A company up there is working to make modifications, and we're going to test it again and hopefully have it pass so that then we can take those parts that made it work and actually mass produce those for any country that's in the Carpathian Mountains where there are brown bears. So again, it's kind of an international project to try to help bears and people get along.
Why don't you want bears getting into trash?
Well, the problem is bears, again, are generalists. They'll eat just about anything, and if it's too hard to find natural foods, but yet there's what we call human-related foods that are available, particularly garbage, then bears will key in on that. And then the problem with that is, of course, is that the garbage is close to people. So now you've got these bears coming in by people, and if they can't get the trash, they'll go after other things. Generally not so much people, but it's just very disconcerting to have grizzly bears in the backyard. And so, again, we're trying to work to help educate the bears to not come to people for food. And one way to do it is to make it as easy as possible for people to keep bears and in this case garbage separate. And what that means is coming up with a way that you can have a dumpster that not only keeps bears out but allows people to use it easily to throw garbage away, and then also has a mechanism that's easy for the trash haulers to use, because if it's too hard for them to dump it, they won't do that. So they'll just leave garbage piling up, and so it defeats the whole process. So again, lots of different things are involved in making it so that bears and people can live together. But if we as humans figure out what we need to do, bears are more than willing to go along with us.
Hi, my name is Tanner, and I go to Kamloops Elementary School, and I'm from Kamloops. My question is, how do polar bears swim in the Arctic?
Polar bears have gigantic paws, and actually they're very strong, good swimmers. They've been found out to sea miles and miles from any land or ice that they might have otherwise been able to climb out on. So they're very comfortable in the water. They spend a fair amount of time in the water, moving back and forth between land and ice flows and between ice flows and other ice flows. So they've got gigantic paws that help them, just like paddles on a canoe, for instance, to help them get through the water, and they're very comfortable swimming. So they're great, great swimmers.
Kaylee would like to know, do cubs hibernate with their mother?
Yes, Kaylee, the cubs do. Actually, they're born in the den with mom. And then the following year, mom digs a new den, and the cubs go in and spend the winter with her again. And if it happens to be a grizzly bear, the next year, mom will dig another den, and those bigger cubs will go into the den and sleep with her again. So mom has to keep digging a larger and larger den every year that she has those cubs, because those cubs continue to get larger and larger.
So what do you both suggest someone do if they're interested in studying about bears? What kind of classes should they take at school?
Well, the first thing is you got to get really good grades in high school. Study hard and do your best work. And then once your high school career ends, you need to be enrolling in a school that has a really strong zoology, physiology, biology background, maybe a wildlife program. And then from there, you're probably going to have to go to graduate school and get a graduate degree. And that's where you can really focus on maybe getting involved in a bear project somewhere, and using that study, that project, as your master's thesis for your degree there. And then, after that's done, with any luck, you have the opportunity then to maybe land a job with an agency that studies bears and become maybe a bear biologist with them.
And why do you like studying bears?
Well, I think the reason I like studying bears is because we call them an umbrella species. If you can have bears in an area, generally that means you can have lots of other species there as well. And so where it's sometimes hard to check on those littler species, bears are fairly obvious, and so we can work to take care of the bears. That means everything else should be doing well. And we as humans definitely have an impact on things like bears. So that's the neat thing to me, is the challenge of working with not just the bears, but the humans and bears together. But if we can make it all work, then again it can work out for the whole natural system as well as people.
And you shouldn't be intimidated by how much schooling it takes. If you want to study bears, go study bears.
No, I mean, if it really doesn't matter what you want to study, whether it's bears or some kind of songbird or whatever it might be, you've got to put your time in if you're going to make a career of it. I mean, lots of folks do it as a hobby, go out and bird watch or study animals or whatever, but if you are serious about actually working for an agency, then yeah, you should plan on going to a 4-year school, and then after that probably graduate school and in some cases maybe have to go back and get a PhD to have certain positions with a different agency.
All right.
And the other thing that's important is, while we definitely need to know our natural sciences, it's important to learn a lot about computers, and not just computer games, but also just how you use computers to do all kinds of research and data collection. And again, it's important to have a strong desire to work in the natural world, but also to be able to utilize the technical world, and then also be comfortable around people, because a lot of folks get to be biologists because they think they want to be out in the woods with animals in nature, and that's part of the job. But another big part of the job is working with people, whether they're forest users or timber companies or whatever. There's always a certain amount of human interface that has to occur. So again, you can't ignore the people aspect of the job too, and a lot of folks sometimes forget that it's not just about the animal, it's about the people as well.
I'm sorry, but we've run out of time. My thanks to Greg and Evan. Appreciate you joining us today.
Always good to be here.
You can learn lots more about bears and other scientific topics on the D4K website, and we'll answer more questions about bears on the D4K web-only show. And if you want to submit a question to D4K, it's easy. You and your class can win prizes. You can send it as an email or as a video question, recorded on your webcam or cell phone. And if you're an educator, we'll even lend you a camera. Last month's prize winner was Will from Mr. Kuntz's class at Riverside Elementary in Boise. So to find out all about bears, how to send in your questions, and how to win, go to the D4K website. And each week, check out my science blog for the latest science news for kids. You'll find it all at idahoptv.org/D4K. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on D4K, the place for science.
Presentation of D4K on Idaho Public Television is made possible through the generous support of the Laura Moore Cunningham Foundation, committed to fulfilling the Moore family legacy of building the great state of Idaho.
If you want to learn more about this topic or watch our videos, check out the D4K website at idahoptv.org/D4K.